What's up, y'all? This is
What's going on?
episode one of our a little talk show thing we got going on right now. I'm here with
No
my
name yet. No name
co-host.
yet.
No name yet. No name yet. I'm here with my co-host Andrew Zinzi. Say what's up, Z,
What's up, baby? What's going on?
to the people.
No, to
Yeah,
the
man.
people hopefully watching.
Hopefully. So what's good, man? How you been? It's been a minute since
Been
we've
chilling,
spoken.
you know, 100%. I've been, just following the daily routine. You feel me? Just going to the gym,
Mhm.
pick up, a lot of club ball lately. Took two tough L's back-to-back weekends.
I don't even worry. I took
So
2 L's on Saturday. So
actually,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
goodness,
It's all right
who'd
though.
you play?
We're Notre Dame and Western Michigan.
Oh, baby. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
got
yeah.
clipped by Syracuse and Cornell. So that was a rough one.
How'd you play though? How'd
That
you
was a
play though?
rough one.
Let me hear about it. Let me hear about it. Just to start off before we
All
get
right,
into
listen,
it.
listen. All right, I'm just a freshman, so I'm not getting too much playing time. But I feel as if like well, for a little background, me and Ethan played basketball together and throughout high school. Um, for freshman year together, and then junior and senior year we played, and we complemented each other extremely well. I feel mostly defensive energy guys. So, I mean, we definitely did not have the skill and the talent, but I just found ever since we've been out of high school, it's just easier to play with confidence. Um,
For sure.
and just like take not be afraid to take shots. What's the worst that's gonna happen, bro?
Mhm.
Like it's nothing,
Yeah, no,
nothing.
it is club
Especially
ball, so
now,
it's like, yeah, it's club ball.
there's
So,
no repercussions. And like
mhm,
if there's anything that we could like go back and tell like myself or like any other athletes, just like, dude, take your shots,
mhm.
100%, because that'll definitely build confidence within yourself and it'll make you a better player. So I played pretty well. I played pretty well. I hit I sent you I think I sent you the video.
Yeah, a
Had a
couple of
little
videos.
spin and one lay, and then I had a catch and shoot three. So that was all in one game. And yeah, I've just been trying to get to my spots and play with confidence.
Are you
So
running the
I've been
point?
playing well.
They got you at the point, or
Yeah, so they got me at the one and the two. Yo,
the
no,
bag is
listen,
not deep for the one and the two,
listen,
though.
listen. The bag has been building. The
Like
bag has
you're like
been building.
Draymond Green, bro. Like undersized, big, just goes out there,
Yeah,
just
well,
gets a little chippy. It gets definitely
dude, I
gets a
get it
little
done.
chippy when he's out there.
I get it done. But
Hey, man.
no, I definitely have been trying my best to develop my game in terms of at least at the club level. And I know we've talked about this and some of the kids we played against in high school, just like there's levels to the game, bro.
Hmm.
There's
True, true,
levels to the
true.
game.
All right, man. That's good to hear. Good way to start it. You know what I mean? Start off with a little bit
You
of a
know,
talk.
a
But
little introduction.
obviously, yeah, yeah. Let's get into it though. The Super Bowl was yesterday. Obviously, I don't know. I'm assuming you watched the game. I mean, I don't know.
Yes,
I
I
don't
watched
know,
the
bro.
game.
I don't know.
I
I
was
mean, what? I
tuned.
mean,
I was tuned.
what are your thoughts? Because I'm pretty. I had a pretty negative thoughts on the Super Bowl, but I'm gonna let you start. I'm gonna let you start.
That's interesting you say that. For one, I didn't I didn't have negative thoughts. I think it was a well played game. I think Kyle Shanahan definitely coached a really great game. Um, he got them that huge fourth down. That was extremely important. I think his big mistake was in that overtime. I know it's being discussed a lot, and just that was bad. That lost them the game because we've seen Patrick Mahomes come down the field and do this so many times,
Yeah, no,
so
yeah. I
many
don't.
times.
I just think it was more concerning that their players are coming out and saying that they didn't even know what the overtime rules were. I just don't understand
Oh,
how as a coach you don't prepare the players, or even I don't even know if the coaches didn't tell the players, then I don't even think the coaches even knew like what to do.
is new. I feel like that's a big like, dude. That's just
I mean, that's
it's
huge.
literally the
That's a
rules of the game.
Yeah, that's a
The
huge
rules
decision
of the
maker.
game.
And that's a decision making process of like if you take the ball or not. Like they took the ball. I guess assuming that if they score a touchdown, they win the game, right?
Uh,
Like
no,
like
but
it's the
they
old
wouldn't if
rules.
they. Yeah, well, they put the Josh Allen rule.
Yeah, I
Josh Allen
mean,
rule. So if regardless, even if they went down and scored, Chiefs would have opportunity to go back down. you know.
Yeah, well,
So
I mean, they did, and they still scored. I mean, it wouldn't even matter because in the old rules, they kick the field goal, and the Chiefs still have a chance to go down and score a touchdown, and they did exactly that.
exactly,
And they
exactly.
weren't
That's exactly
prepared
what
for
happened.
that. They weren't prepared for that play at all, and it was just it's concern. It's weird because last year the Chiefs scored their final two touchdowns on the exact same play. The exact same play. It's a rollout
Oh yeah,
pick
so
play on the
it's a
1 yard
rollout. It's a
line.
pick play on the slant, and then I mean, as a defensive coach, that's something you have to prepare for, especially if you've seen it in the past
Yeah,
two years,
in the Super. Yeah, I mean
and I mean, you can't run man against that play, and if you do, you got to press up further.
that's
He
true.
was so far back that that pick was complete. He was wide open.
Yeah, he
There
was
was
wide open.
no
No one
contest
there.
on the ball. There was nothing there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this was a weak Super Bowl. I mean, this is like the first year of the Super Bowl where I personally did not care who won, as long as like I won some money. In the end of it, like I that's all I really cared about. But I did not think that this Super Bowl was as good as maybe a Ravens Lions Super Bowl or a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl. Like I think this was the weakest of the potential four matchups that we got or we could have got. Um, the Chiefs, they started off slow and in classic Chiefs fashion, they finish the game and they win. They find a way to win no matter what. And for some whatever reason, Steve Wilks, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, decides to give Patrick Mahomes so much cushion. There
But
you
yeah,
have
I
two
agree with
minutes
that.
left, two timeouts, and Patrick Mahomes is the king of 2 minute drill. The king of 2 minute
And
drill. And
and
they're
he was just able to just drive
yeah.
straight down the field. It was
I
just
mean,
not a
I feel
problem.
like every single game that I watch the Chiefs and they're in a close game, especially in the playoffs this year, like these guys are just playing so far off. They're playing 10 yards prevent. They're at the 20-yard line, and the Chiefs do not have a guy like Tyreek
It's
Hill who's going to
just
take the top off the defense anymore. Like they don't have an elite speed
there's no
wide
reason
receiver.
for that. Yeah, 100%. And when you look at it, it's just there's absolutely no reason for it. And essentially, throughout the year, Kelsey has provided as a wide receiver one when you really think about it in terms of that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to what you said before. I know you might disagree with me. Overall, I did not think the 49ers played a bad game defensively
No,
in the
no, they
scheme
didn't.
of things.
No, they didn't. They ended the game
But
really
that
bad.
last drive was hard to watch
I
without a
also
doubt.
think I also think it's just like for some whatever reason, Kyle Shanahan refuses to run the ball when they're winning games. He did it with Atlanta when he was the OC in 2017 when they blew that 28-3 lead against the Patriots. They're up 28
That's
to 3
right.
at halftime, and they just continue to throw the ball. And I get wanting to put a team away. And like it just demoralizes the team when you're already down 28-3 and their team is just still just throwing the ball, but it wasn't working. Brock Purdy played a phenomenal first half, and then in the second half, he was never got comfortable. The offensive line was not blocking well at all, and the
They
receivers
really
were not
weren't.
getting open. And Christian McCaffrey was the only sensible offensive player besides Juwan Jennings who played an outstanding game.
Oh, he played a
Christian
great game.
McCaffrey was the only player on that Chiefs offense, the 49ers offense, that was producing at a high rate consistently in that entire game, and they went away from it. He still ended up with 22 carries. But I still think they should have gotten him the ball more because he's their most dynamic playmaker, especially with Deebo Samuel going down and being slightly injured for most of the game. He looked like a little bit slow after coming up
100%.
hobbled after like a knee injury or something.
No, it was hamstring.
Yeah, no, I really don't remember if it was a knee or hamstring. I kind of like, I don't know. I wasn't as into the Super Bowl though. That's what I was meant to say like
That's
earlier.
how this whole the whole was a big discussion like that. I definitely agree with you. I could see where you're coming from in that. I think something that they could have done with Christian McCaffrey to get more involved in the game was go to him more in the air. And we saw how that trick play, I think that trick play was phenomenal. And he got that
Oh
touchdown
yeah,
in
no,
the air, and that was
that was
big.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a great play. That was well drawn up, and it definitely worked. Caught them completely off guard. Got the entire half of the defense on one side of the field and just opened it up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
Um,
I even think like just they should have done more. I'm assuming that's the only trick play they probably installed. But the Chiefs defense has been the number one defense all season long, and they really just didn't
I was
change
just
up
gonna
the
say that
offense.
like
They didn't change up the offense at all. like trying to do
for the
something
same. Yeah,
that is different that you don't see on film all the time. Like the Juwan Jennings touchdown pass. Like who would have thought that Juwan Jennings would throw the first touchdown pass in a
throw the
Super
ball.
Bowl?
Yeah,
And I think if they went to more of just adding a more dynamic uh part to that offense in the second half, just to try to keep them on their toes. Just even like a flea flicker or something. You gotta have a flea flicker play in your playbook at some
100%.
somewhere. Like
Always. That's a necessity. I definitely agree with what you're saying. But I something that I want to talk about, like what you were saying before. I feel like we definitely got to give Chiefs credit in terms of the defense. You know that Jadarius Sneed, one of the best cornerbacks, and I think he really had a bounce back because, yo, I was thinking, who was this guy when Gabe Davis snapped him? Oh my
mhm.
goodness, in that game, you know what I'm talking about, and he just has had a great year overall, and that is definitely a big win for him, and he definitely deserves it. But I think I also agree with you said about Brock Purdy. I think both quarterbacks played great games. Um, but Brock Purdy in the second half kind of disappeared. He didn't do much. I know he wasn't necessarily a driving factor or driving force of that team,
Mhm.
but as the quarterback, I think you got to put your best foot forward and make something happen, make a play. Patrick Mahomes is a playmaker. That's one of the reasons he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I know we're comparing Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes, but it's the Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
I
I think there was more he could have done.
I don't really blame Brock Purdy at all for this loss. I think that he was extremely uncomfortable in the second half. The offensive line did not block very well for him. He had to step up in the pocket, run around, and he's not a traditional improviser quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. He's definitely the
Not at
pocket
all.
passer type. And according to Cam Newton, he's the game manager. And I hate that. I hate that term game manager because every quarterback, in a sense, is a game manager. You're going to follow the playbook. You're going to follow what your team is calling. You're not going to just go against what your team is calling. Like it's just because Brock Purdy doesn't do the flashy things that Mahomes and like Lamar Jackson do, doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad quarterback or a game
I
manager quarterback. He does his
100%.
job and he puts his team in positions to win. That's why Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions this year were so good because Jared Goff, even though he turned the ball over a decent amount, I'm pretty sure he had 12 interceptions, somewhere around there. He was doing his job. He was making the right decisions. He was making the right throws when they needed him to. He wasn't putting the ball in harm's way like a guy like Josh Allen might, where he's
Right.
throwing the ball 86 yards downfield to double coverage, hoping that the defender
And
drops it
someone
or
comes
his
up with
player
it.
makes a
Yeah.
play. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily think that
Yeah.
Brock Purdy like trying to do something else that he's not comfortable with, especially in the Super Bowl, is a good thing, right? He did all he could
I definitely agree
with
with
what
you.
he was given, and I don't think that it's necessarily his fault, like entirely. And against a really good Chiefs defense, like still, like you
Oh,
said, L'Jarius
100%.
Sneed probably was the best cornerback in the NFL this year. If he wasn't the best, he was top three. Him, Jalen Johnson
Without doubt.
were incredible this year, and they were guys that were extremely underrated, even coming into the season, and they've kind of taken that step up. But it's just like even at the end of the game, third down and 13, you got a guy wide open. You got Ayuk wide open on a slant and Trent
That
McDuffie
was
goes
rough.
unblocked into the backfield. And same thing with Chris Jones. Chris Jones unblocked into the backfield on a third
Christian,
down with
I
two
mean,
wide open wide
he was
receivers for a first down.
turning up this game too. We got to talk about him also because he had a good game. He
Oh
really
no,
had a
yeah,
good game.
he's playing for a contract. He's playing for something. I mean, he deserves high tier defensive money. He deserves like Aaron Donald level money. I think that he's the top three defensive lineman in the NFL, defensive tackle in the NFL. He's not only a run stopper, he's an incredible pass rusher. He's strong and he understands his assignment. And I think that
He's a
he
force,
is
bro.
the X factor on that team, on that defense. He makes everybody else around him better, and he gets guys opportunities that they wouldn't usually get on a defensive line that didn't have like a superstar in the interior like him. So the
Oh yeah,
Chiefs
I
defense
most
deserves
definitely agree.
all the credit. You can give the credit to Patrick Mahomes, who obviously he played a great game. We weren't expecting much else from Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelsey threw a little bit of a temper tantrum. Threw a little bit of a temper tantrum, but he ended the game with
Oh yeah,
like
that was
9 catches for 73 yards, somewhere around there. He's what the hell is that? Did you see that on the screen?
Yes, bro.
Did you put that on there? What was that?
No, bro. Oh, that was on your screen.
Bro, I'm tripping. Yeah, no, anyways.
Back to Kelsey though. Yo, he had one catch for one receiving yard in the first half. The
I
second
understand his
half, he had
frustration,
something
but
like
you can't do that in the biggest game. You can't go
no.
up to your coach and dead in
And
his
he's your
face.
head coach.
That's extremely disrespectful. But I mean, Andy Reid kind of listened
I
to him.
agree.
I guess he got the memo that he needs the ball more.
Pull him aside and talk to him. He's your coach. He's gonna listen to you. You're the best player, one of the best players on the team.
That's true.
You're captain. You're close to him. There's no reason for that reaction. And I mean, we definitely saw the result in the second half. What was it? Seven catches
I think he had
for
8 for
something
72.
close.
8 for 72.
Yeah,
He dominated that second half. And I mean this I think this performance I think this whole playoff performance for him really kind of puts him over the edge in terms of the greatest tight end of all time. I think he's better than Gronk. He's done so much for the tight end position. He's not only he's not a great blocker, but he's does so much as a receiver, right? That
that's yeah. I
he's
think
had
he's
like
he's the
he had
revolutionized tight
yeah,
end.
he had 9 straight 1,000 yard seasons. He was 16 yards. No, he had 8 straight 9. He was 17 yards away this year from getting his ninth straight 1,000 yard season. I mean, you can say that if he's not a good blocker, he doesn't deserve to be in the top tight ends. I just personally do not agree with that. I think he does so much more for this offense than guys in the past probably could have in this offense. And he's just a safety blanket. He overperformed crazy in in these playoffs. So I'm gonna have to give him his kudos. And I think that this performance puts not Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, like very close in terms of GOAT status to Tom Brady. He's
Okay, I
28
definitely
years
agree with
old,
you on that one. I mean,
28 years old, 3 rings, 2 MVPs, 3 finals, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. I don't really know what else he's gonna have to do to get over that hump because Tom Brady obviously just has the accolades. I think Mahomes is the best quarterback of all
but
time. I think he's way better
well,
than
listen,
Aaron Rodgers in terms of
this is the
skill.
scary part. What you just said is you don't know what else he's gonna have to do.
Mhm.
Dude, he's 28 years old. He has time to do whatever he has to do to surpass it. So if not right now, 5 years,
Yeah.
forget about it. Forget about it. It's done.
Well, if he could win one more Super Bowl, even next year and go for the three-peat, that's already a step, an edge over Tom Brady because Tom Brady never did that. He's
No one's
won
ever
back to
had.
back in 04, 05. That was the last team to ever win back to back Super Bowls before yesterday with the Chiefs. But he's getting up there. Like
There hasn't
he's
been a three-peat,
closing in on
correct?
Tom Brady. He's closing in on Tom Brady. I think Andy Reid is closing in on Bill Belichick for the greatest coach of all time. Andy Reid consistently throughout his career has taken teams that would otherwise not be division winners, would not be playoff teams, and he has overperformed with them. We saw it with Alex Smith. Even with Alex Smith,
Right.
their division and they were in the playoffs every single season. And Alex Smith is a great quarterback, but he's not one of those top tier guys in the
Patrick
NFL. He
Mahomes.
never
Yeah,
was,
exactly.
right? So and in Philadelphia,
He's a game manager.
he brought them to a Super Bowl. I would say Alex Smith is a game manager. I still don't like the term game manager, but yeah,
He's a game
I
manager.
think
Yeah, I was just gonna say you got to talk about the Eagles. That was phenomenal.
what he did with the Eagles with Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens and being able to handle all these personalities on these teams and still be able to be successful. And now he's going for his third straight Super Bowl next season. He's going to be possibly a 4 or 5 time Super Bowl champion by the time he's retired, and he's been to the playoffs multiple times. I think you got to put Andy Reid in that discussion with Bill Belichick for the greatest coach of all time, as well as
Without a doubt.
Patrick Mahomes with the greatest quarterback. And I hate the dynasty talk. I hate the dynasty thing, right? Because we go from the
Yeah.
Patriots and now it's the Chiefs. And I just hope that
Yeah, it's rough.
The Giants can stop them because they've done it in the past with Brady and them. Brady and them. I'm gonna call those teams Brady and them because Brady was
Brady
really
and
the
them.
catalyst in a lot of those Super Bowls, in those playoff
100%.
wins as well. But yeah, all the Giants need is like a quarterback who is tall, white, and has a turnover problem, and they might have a chance of winning the Super Bowl against a future
Eli.
dynasty. Yeah, we need a guy like Eli Manning. I can't stand Daniel Jones, but that's a
Dude,
whole
that
other topic
year,
that we can get into, bro. Like I
that 2011 year, he threw 16 interceptions still.
yeah, I mean, he was a
You know
turnover
that?
machine, but he got the job done. So I mean, am I complaining? No. I mean, Tom Brady would have 9 rings right now if it wasn't for Eli Manning. So I think everybody thanks Eli Manning and Nick Foles for
Nick
stopping Tom
Foles,
Brady from
damn,
having possible 10 Super Bowls. I mean, imagine
that
having
would
10
be
Super Bowls. That's like Bill Russell had 11, and I
Bill
think that
Russell
Bill
status, man.
yeah, but Bill Russell like played against plumbers and shit and trash like that. So I can't curse. I don't know if I can curse or not. I almost slipped
I
up.
would
I almost slipped up.
not yet, not yet.
Not yet, not yet. But
But
I I,
what do you
I
think? What
almost
do you
slipped
think?
up.
What do you think the Chiefs need to do in order to build around this team to get back to where they are currently right now and have at least a shot at the Super Bowl?
Um, Honestly, I think they just need to bring back everybody, and they got to get another wide receiver, definitely another weapon for Patrick
I was
Mahomes.
gonna say,
I mean, that was the biggest problem with this team this year was, it's usually the defense that is the problem for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in their past
this
few
year,
playoff runs and Super Bowl runs. But this year, their defense was the reason why they're even in this position in the first place. Their offense was not good this year. They weren't great. They definitely need a guy who could take the top off the defense. I like Rashee Rice a lot. Had an
I do too.
amazing rookie season. Really came into his own and developed over the season as the season went on. He's an incredible route runner. He's great after the catch, and he's a big body guy. He's a guy who you can throw it to in the flats, and he's going to get those yards after catch. And when Travis Kelsey is doing double teamed, you could just dump it off to Rashee Rice. The run game is there with Isaiah Pacheco. He was outstanding this year. He runs angry.
He
I
is
like the way he
phenomenal.
runs.
And
He's one of those old school backs that you don't really see anymore. Like a lot of the times you see these guys in the NFL, and they have a rotating door at running back. But Isaiah Pacheco, he gives me a lot of like Marshawn Lynch. Like he's a lot. I
oh
feel like
yeah,
he's faster than Marshawn Lynch, but he brings that
he runs just
personality,
as
and
hard.
he's a tough runner. I love the way he runs. I love watching him play, and he just brings a boost of energy that was definitely needed towards the end of the season when they started to go on like a losing streak. Um,
Right.
he runs the ball angry and hard. I like the way he runs, but they need to
And you definitely
invest in that receiving core for sure.
in the receiving core for sure. And then also you can't forget about McKinnon, dude. He was not a bad back whatsoever. I think he definitely produced more last year than he did this year.
Mhm.
Um, but I just as another person to rely on with him, he does well catching the ball as well. So I think
Yeah,
I
he,
think that would
he
be
he definitely
important.
took a step back this year, but uh, I think it's just because Isaiah Pacheco
Checo was
just
producing so well. Yeah.
outplayed him, and but yeah, I mean this is a perfect class if you really want to get a wide receiver with the 32nd pick. I mean you're gonna really have your choice of any of those tier two wide receiver guys. You're not
Yeah,
gonna
who
get
would they be?
Uh, Brian Thomas from LSU. He's a dog.
Keon
You should
Coleman?
watch. You should definitely watch. I mean, Keon Coleman, sure, I guess. I have questions about Keon Coleman because he's not an amazing separator.
That's true.
He's extreme. I mean, an incredible
Dude, he
athlete.
could get up.
Yeah, he's like 6'4",
Oh my
230,
goodness.
runs like a 4'4", 40. But he's not a guy who's going to blow you away as a route runner. He might be a guy who can make the quarterback right, but with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you really don't need a guy who is going to make your quarterback right. But I guys that I think of, Brian Thomas out of LSU. I mean, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but you should definitely watch him.
No, I've heard the name and I've may have seen a couple clips, but I haven't watched his game
He's
much.
like one of
So
those guys. He's like a deep threat guy. He's reminds me a lot of Rasheed Rice, but a little bit less of the short route. He's definitely more the deep threat on that LSU offense with Neighbors and Lacey. Um, Brian Thomas, I obviously Keon Coleman. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of other guys. I can't really tell you off the top of
yeah,
my head. I have to look. I have to look at like a list of guys in the draft.
I do as
But
well.
yeah, it's now the off season, and that these are definitely questions that need to be answered. Is guys the draft and free agency, and it's my favorite part of the off season because as a Giants fan, it's
Exciting,
really
dude.
only
It's missing.
yeah. As a Giants fan, it's really the only
Oh my,
part of the season that you kind of look forward to. And even week one, I say was an exciting time for me until we lost 40-0 in week one. That kind of
Oh
sucked.
man, that
But
was
there's
brutal.
a
That
lot
was
of
brutal. And
there's a lot of questions that need to be answered in the on the Giants. I mean, I can go for hours speaking about the Giants and what they need to do and what I think they need to improve on. But just to keep it long story short, Daniel Jones is not the guy. Unfortunately, we're locked into his contract for one more year, and he is going to be the starting
what I was gonna
quarterback.
say.
Like I don't think the Giants, just because they say that Daniel Jones is going to be the starter, means that they're not going to take a quarterback in the first round or even the second round. Uh,
What pick do they have?
Six. Like I don't think that they're going to necessarily
They're
sit at
not gonna
six
use
and
a
take a
six.
quarterback unless
Yeah,
May or Daniel somehow falls to six. You don't really need to reach on a Penix or a JJ McCarthy or Bo Nix.
McCarthy. Yeah, that's
Like
what I was gonna say.
McCarthy's getting top 15 hype right now, and Penix and Bo Nix. Uh, they have concerns. I think Michael Penix would probably be the riskiest just because of his
I
injury
oh
history.
God, injury left-handed quarterback. Oh my God, it's like a
Yeah, I
recipe for
mean,
disaster.
he's definitely not helping his case. He didn't play in the Senior Bowl, and he didn't really play well at all against Michigan, which is an NFL level defense. Uh, he's got incredible deep ball. Like if we're being real, he's probably got the
He
best
does.
deep ball out of
He really
anybody
does
in this
have a good.
draft. But other than that, he doesn't blow you away as an athlete. He doesn't blow you away with with accuracy. He just kind of just launches that thing, and Roma Dunze or Jalen Polk or Jalen McMillan, they have an incredible receiving core. They're gonna come down with it.
Ridiculous.
Whatever matters, they're gonna come down with it. Uh,
I don't think that. Let's not take away from him too. He had a great year at Washington, and I think that's something definitely maybe a team could take as a project if they wanted to. And it doesn't mean he can't develop into something like a Teddy Bridgewater in the NFL.
yeah, but
But
Teddy Bridgewater though,
you know,
like you're not gonna spend a first round pick on a Teddy Bridgewater.
obviously not. That's what we're getting to
Like
here. Even I pray to God no one takes him in the first round.
it's just weird because we're in the NFL currently, especially this season, the amount of quarterback injuries and the amount of backup quarterbacks that played in the NFL this year, I'm pretty sure there was like maybe
Oh my
close to
God.
50 different starting quarterbacks this year for every team in the league. Like you're going to need to draft a guy who is going to be able to be solid in your system. You're not just going to take a flyer on a development guy and then if your guy like if he goes down, like your starting quarterback goes down, you're kind of screwed. That's why like JJ McCarthy as a as a uh as a first round pick to me is kind of like I think JJ McCarthy's great. Like he's got incredible upside. He just like
He's definitely an accurate quarterback, you know,
he's yeah,
athletic
but
as
he
well.
doesn't blow you away anywhere else. And I think a team like the Vikings with Kirk Cousins in a
On his
contract
way
year.
out, yeah.
And, he's a guy that you could just develop. And you have Justin Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison, uh, you have Hawkinson, and you got KJ Osborne. You have a lot of weapons that
Right.
you could help. Like he could develop, sit behind Kirk Cousins
And I
for a
think
year.
a year behind Kirk Cousins would definitely help him a lot, just in terms of adjusting to the NFL. But like something I'm worried about that we see so often, especially with a guy like, Justin Fields, just getting thrown into an awful situation right away,
Yeah.
like Caleb Williams is
Oh no,
probably
Caleb
going to
Williams will
do.
definitely, yeah, he's gonna be thrown into
And
to the fire.
same thing with Trevor Lawrence,
Mhm.
and it's I feel bad for these guys because they play their tails off and then they have no surrounding help and then they come into the NFL and they get smashed. I mean,
And then everybody
it
blames them.
definitely
Everybody blames them. Like I love
for
Justin
not turning it
Fields.
around.
I love Justin Fields, but
Oh, I
he
do too.
definitely
I think
needs
he's a great
to
quarterback.
get the hell out of there. He needs to get out of there. He needs to go somewhere that has faith in him. Like the fan base loves Justin Fields, but I don't think anybody else in the organization really thinks that Justin Fields is the option. And
That's the guy,
I
yeah.
mean, it's a lateral move realistically if you're trading away Justin Fields and you're just going to draft Caleb Williams. You're just kind of starting the cycle over.
The
But
same
Justin
thing. Yeah.
Fields, the way the quarterback market is, Justin Fields, he's going to be a free agent. He's going to expect a contract extension, and he's nowhere near the money that he's probably going to get. So I think that a team like the Steelers or the Falcons, who are probably a quarterback away from being division winners and being playoff contenders. The Steelers made the playoffs with Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and
Yeah, that
Mason
was a little
Rudolph as their starting
ridiculous.
quarterbacks. Their
Mason
defense is
Rudolph.
incredible, and they have weapons. They have guys there that they all they really need is a quarterback, and they're well coached teams. I think that Justin Fields would fit great in Atlanta with their young, talent, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Desmond Ritter's not the answer, and we saw they were one win away
No
from
shot.
winning their division. Like they were
That's
very
right.
close to winning their division, and all they really needed was a quarterback. They obviously need other things, but quarterback is probably the thing that they need the most, and they're not in the range to draft one of these A tier quarterbacks like
No,
like a Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jalen Daniels, unless they trade up, and I don't think that they'll do that. Um,
no shot.
and a lot of teams I think are just going to end up just settling for a veteran quarterback instead of taking a chance on some of these guys because they are projects. Caleb Williams is an amazing quarterback, and I hate the rhetoric around Caleb Williams that he is going to be a bust because he's a diva and he's not a diva. Like he's just a passionate athlete. I'd rather my quarterback cry after losing a game where he puts up 45 points and his defense gives up 50 and they're the 131st ranked defense in all of college football out of every single FBS football team, I think included. Um, his defense is trash, and I'd rather him cry
Well,
than
that
be
whole
like Jalen
team was
Hurts.
trash, dude.
Yeah, I'd rather him cry. I'd rather him cry like a baby after every single time he loses than be like Jalen Hurts and just be like completely stone faced and just like act like nothing ever happened. Because it shows passion. It shows that he cares. He shows that he cares, and
About the game,
he
the
is
sport.
by
Yeah.
far the most talented quarterback in this entire class. He's far and away better than Drake May and Jaden Daniels in my opinion. Like just watching Caleb Williams, he's the best player on the field every game. Every game, Caleb Williams is the number one guy on the field. And it's just unfortunate that he had to play for such a terrible team in USC. And Lincoln Riley produces starting quarterbacks. Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield are starting quarterbacks in the
Right.
NFL. They're making Baker Mayfield's going to get big money this offseason. Kyler Murray's already making big money. And I love Baker Mayfield. I think he had a
I
huge
love
comeback
Baker.
here this year with the Buccaneers, a resurgence that he definitely needed. Um, but yeah, Caleb
I
Williams,
think
he's
he's
going to
in a
go to the
good
Bears.
spot too with the
No, he's
Bucks.
in a great spot with the Buccaneers, and I mean they're going to have a whole new staff. They lost their offensive coordinator,
That's right.
and they're gonna. I don't even know. I can't remember if they signed somebody, but if they did, it's probably somebody in house, uh, which is better for Baker because you don't have to bring in a whole new system. You're kind of just bringing in a guy who's molded around the system and will
Right.
make slight
Exactly.
tweaks so it won't be too drastic on Baker. But yeah, I don't see a way that a team like the Atlanta Falcons or the Vikings, or not the Vikings, the Atlanta Falcons, the Steelers, take a rookie quarterback and try to develop him behind an already bad young quarterback, right? I think that they definitely go
Yeah.
after a proven veteran in a contract year they can get for
You know,
low for the low for cheap. Justin Fields will probably cost like a second or third round pick. He doesn't have first
who
round
would be
value.
a great fit for either one of those teams. Um, and I don't really know where the contract is at, but Gardner Minshew, came off
Oh
Pro
yeah.
Bowl year. I mean, he played great as soon as Anthony Richardson
I think
and
Gardner Minshew would be
Anthony
great.
Richardson
I think Gardner Minshew would be great
on the Falcons.
in Pittsburgh. No, I think in Pittsburgh more than Atlanta.
Really,
Yeah. I
really.
think in Pittsburgh he's not relied on as much to throw the ball because they are a run heavy offense. And
Always have
you
been.
don't need an extremely dynamic athlete in that offense. It's kind of more of a pocket passer type of offense. It's an old traditional offense.
Right.
So I think that a guy like Gardner for a year, and he, make it or break it. If he doesn't do well, then you just look next year and draft the quarterback, or you look to and go through through free agency. But yeah, I mean, it's not a deep quarterback class whatsoever. So aside from those
No,
top three guys, you're kind of just taking a chance.
there's a huge drop off, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to go back to Anthony Richardson, and he's a guy, he got hurt very early this year, but in his few games he did play well, and I'm just super excited to see what he does, coming
Oh yeah, no,
coming back
he
in
showed a lot
the
of he showed
future.
flashes of like the great player he could be.
Oh
in
my God, he's a
Indianapolis this year.
freak. He
Yeah.
is a freak.
And
Not
he's
only
another one
is
that just
he,
like the rhetoric around him coming out of the draft was just so
yeah,
unwarranted.
for no reason too. There was no reason for him to receive all that. And dude, he is like, I know I'm harping on it, but like, God damn, he could run the ball, he could sling it, and like
He's a big
he's just a
body with a great arm and he's athletic. But I think the guys just look at the stats and they're just like, oh, he's not putting up great stats. He has a low completion percentage. I mean, he played at Florida. Like they don't have an elite tier anything on their team. They're not
football
very good
team.
at all.
Yeah,
And he had sky high potential. And if you just put him in the right system, and Shane Steichen's the perfect head coach for him because he dealt with Jalen Hurts last year, who was kind of a project, and he did an amazing job, and he made him look like an MVP candidate, right? And when this year
yeah,
he
without a
struggled
doubt.
because it was a different offense and he wasn't comfortable. So Anthony Richardson, I think, has the sky's the limit for Anthony Richardson, man.
Yeah, I'm very,
Can't
very
wait to
excited to
see
watch him.
what these guys get do next year. So all right. Well, it says that we only have like a minute left until we got to upgrade, and I don't have money like that to upgrade Zoom. So,
Neither do I.
all right, bro. So that was the
Okay.
first episode. Uh, hopefully we can make this a weekly thing. If not weekly, we try our hardest. We are college students. We have schoolwork and other
Bi-weekly.
things to do. So yeah, I hope that since football season is over, I hope that we can get more into the basketball, especially college basketball. So I'm more of a college basketball than NBA guy personally,
I'm
and
an NBA guy,
it is
so
almost
so
March. It is
we
almost
could.
March.
Oh, baby.
It's coming down to the end of the college basketball regular season. It's where things get interesting, and I have a lot of thoughts on college basketball this year because I've gotten more into it, and then we can obviously talk about the Knicks and things of that nature. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've never followed a team quite like this, and let's
yeah,
just say I'm so excited, and I love what we have just built. Love all the trades, Alec Burks, Boban, like just great, like just
yeah.
amazing team that we've built. So I'm excited to get into that next week for sure.
All right, man. It was good talking to you. It was good seeing you, and see you next
Talking.
week, bro.
See you next week, brother.